Here's the thing about middle class financial traps that makes them so effective. They don't look like traps, they look like responsible decisions, like adult milestones, like the kind of choices that sensible people make when they're doing things the right way. And that's exactly what makes them so difficult to identify and so costly to escape. The obvious wealth destroyers, the reckless spending, the gambling, the genuinely terrible decisions, those are visible. People see them coming or recognize them quickly after. The middle class traps are different. They're the behaviors that get socially endorsed, culturally celebrated, and financially devastating in slow motion over decades. And the most uncomfortable part, most people reading this are going to recognize themselves in at least a few of these, not because they made bad decisions, because they made the decisions that seemed right at the time and that everyone around them was making too. My name is Dave, and I love helping people see the patterns that are invisible from inside them, but obvious the moment someone points at them clearly. These are 10 signs someone is quietly trapping themselves in the middle class, not through recklessness, through a very specific set of behaviors that look like progress and function like a ceiling. Sign 1. They upgrade their lifestyle the moment their income upgrades. Not eventually, immediately. The raise arrives in March. By September, the apartment is bigger, the car is newer. Or the restaurant standard has quietly elevated to match the new income. The lifestyle adjusts upward with the income so consistently that the savings rate stays identical regardless of what the paycheck says. Here's what this looks like as a long-term pattern. Someone who started earning $45,000 and is now earning $90,000 but has roughly the same amount saved as when they were earning $45,000. The income doubled. The lifestyle doubled with it. The savings rate held constant at whatever small percentage survived the spending. The trap is specific. Income increases are the single most powerful savings acceleration tool available to most people. Every dollar of income increase that doesn't get absorbed by lifestyle is a dollar that can compound at its full potential. But if every income increase immediately becomes lifestyle, the compounding window never opens, regardless of how high the income climbs. The sign isn't earning more, it's the automatic, almost reflexive lifestyle adjustment that follows every income increase before the savings rate has a chance to capture any of it. Sign 2. They treat their credit score as the measure of financial health. Credit scores measure one thing: the likelihood that you'll repay borrowed money. That's it. They're a debt management metric masquerading as a financial health metric. And yet, a huge number of middle class households treat the credit score as the primary indicator of how they're doing financially. They obsess over it, they optimize for it, they make financial decisions, keeping accounts open they don't use, maintaining balances they don't need, timing applications around score impacts, specifically to protect a number that tells lenders how reliably they manage debt. Here's the problem: you can have a perfect 800 credit score and a net worth of $12,000. The credit score reflects the quality of your relationship with borrowed money, not the quality of your financial life. The wealth building metrics that actually matter — savings rate, net worth trajectory, investment account balance, gap between income and obligations — don't appear in a credit score at all. Someone who has never borrowed money and has $400,000 in index funds has no credit score, versus someone with an 800 score and $15,000 in savings. The trap is optimizing for the wrong number, treating a debt management metric as a financial progress metric, and making decisions that serve the score rather than the actual wealth building goal. Sign 3. They own a home, but have no liquid investments. Home ownership is treated as the primary wealth building strategy for most middle class households. And for a long time, in a lot of markets, it worked well enough to sustain that belief. But here's the pattern that quietly traps people: they buy the house, they make the mortgage payments, they watch the equity grow, and they treat that equity as their investment portfolio, their retirement plan, and their financial security simultaneously. Meanwhile, the liquid investment account sits empty or minimal because the mortgage payment consumes the margin that would otherwise go there. The trap is concentration: all the wealth in one illiquid asset in one location tied to one local economy. No diversification, no liquidity, no ability to access the wealth without a real estate transaction. And the specific moment the trap reveals itself is retirement. They arrive with a paid-off house worth $450,000 and $90,000 in retirement accounts. Technically, a net worth of $540,000, but $450,000 of it is liquid, expensive to maintain, and generates no income without either a reverse mortgage or a sale that requires finding somewhere else to live. The retirement actually funded by liquid assets is a $90,000 retirement, which by the 4% rule is $3,600 a year. The house was the investment. The investment account was the afterthought. And that sequencing is the specific pattern that leaves otherwise hardworking people house rich and cash poor at exactly the moment liquidity matters most. Sign 4. They financially plan in monthly payment terms. This is not a question middle class households ask about total costs. It's a question they ask about monthly payments. And the monthly payment frame is one of the most effective wealth reduction tools ever created because it makes almost anything feel affordable by stretching the obligation over time while obscuring the total cost entirely. A $35,000 car becomes $580 a month. A $4,000 sofa becomes $150 a month. A $2,500 vacation becomes $208 a month on the card. Individually, each payment seems manageable. Collectively, they represent a total obligation that, when calculated honestly as a full dollar amount plus interest, would produce immediate sticker shock. The person who financially plans in monthly payment terms has essentially outsourced their wealth building decisions to whoever's willing to offer them a payment plan, which is everyone selling them something. The wealth building question is never can I afford the monthly payment. It's what is the total cost of this obligation, and what does that same money become if it compounds instead? Those are different questions that lead to very different decisions. Sign 5. They have no financial system and call it living in the moment. This one requires a sympathetic delivery because it usually comes from a genuinely good place. There's a specific type of middle class household that has reframed the absence of a financial system as a value statement. Money isn't everything. You can't take it with you. Life is for living. The people who obsess over finances are missing the point. And look, the underlying value is real. Money isn't everything. Presence and experience and relationships matter more than financial optimization in any ultimate accounting of what a good life looks like. But here's what living in the moment financially actually produces over 20 years. The absence of a system doesn't mean money flows toward experiences and presence. It means money flows toward whatever is most immediately available and least effortful to spend on, which is usually not peak experiences. It's usually subscriptions, convenience spending, incremental lifestyle inflation, and the accumulated small decisions that consume financial margin without producing any particular memory or meaning. The trap isn't rejecting financial obsession. It's mistaking the absence of a system for freedom when it's actually just unstructured drift. Real freedom around money comes from having a system that handles the fundamentals automatically, so you can actually spend the discretionary portion on whatever genuinely matters to you rather than on whatever happened to be available. Sign 6. They conflate busyness with financial progress. This one is subtle and genuinely difficult to see from inside it. There's a specific pattern where middle class households are extraordinarily busy with financial activity that produces almost no actual wealth building. Researching accounts they never open. Comparing investment options they never choose between. Reading financial content they don't act on. Discussing money management without changing money behavior. The busyness feels like progress because it's effortful and financially themed. But effort in the vicinity of a goal is not the same as progress toward it. And the specific trap is that the busyness sometimes functions as a substitute for action rather than a precursor to it. Someone who has spent 3 years researching the perfect investment strategy and hasn't invested a dollar is not 3 years closer to financial security than someone who opened a basic index fund account on their first day of research and has been contributing ever since. The sign is high financial anxiety combined with low financial progress. A lot of knowledge about money that hasn't translated into the specific behaviors that actually move the net worth number. Sign 7. They use windfalls to maintain lifestyle rather than change trajectory. Tax refund, work bonus, inheritance, insurance settlement, side income that landed, any money that arrives above the normal income baseline. For most middle class households, windfalls get absorbed. The tax refund covers the credit card balance that accumulated over winter. The bonus funds the vacation that felt earned. The unexpected money arrives, and within 6 months, there's no trace of it in the net worth because the lifestyle expanded temporarily to consume it. This isn't irresponsible exactly. The credit card balance was real. The vacation was earned. But here's what a windfall actually represents from a wealth building standpoint. A windfall is one of the only moments in a financial life where a significant amount of money is available without an existing claim on it. No mortgage payment coming from it. No grocery budget requiring it. No bill expecting it. It arrived outside the normal flow and therefore has no automatic destination. That absence of a claim is the opportunity. Every windfall that gets absorbed into lifestyle was a chance to permanently change the trajectory that instead reset to baseline. The person who redirects 80% of every windfall to wealth building and gives 20% to discretionary spending doesn't feel meaningfully different day to day. But their net worth trajectory looks dramatically different at year 10 than the person who absorbed every windfall into the spending baseline. Sign 8. They protect their children from financial reality. This one is uncomfortable to say and important to name. There's a specific middle-class pattern where the desire to give children better than you had translates into systematically shielding them from the financial cause and effect relationships that build the wealth-building behaviors adults need. The child who never experiences the constraint of a budget doesn't develop the capacity to operate within one. The teenager whose every want is funded develops no ability to distinguish between wants and needs or to delay gratification in service of a future goal. The young adult whose lifestyle is partially subsidized by parents past the point of genuine need develops no urgency around building the financial independence that urgent need creates. The trap isn't providing for children. It's confusing financial provision with financial preparation. A child who grows up understanding how money actually works, seeing real constraints navigated, experiencing genuine cause and effect between choices and resources, is better equipped to build wealth as an adult than a child whose financial reality was managed for them until adulthood arrived suddenly. This isn't a parenting judgment. It's a pattern that has measurable intergenerational wealth consequences. And most parents doing it are doing it from love rather than carelessness. Sign 9. They optimize aggressively for job security over income ceiling. The middle-class version of career management prioritizes stability, the good benefits, the pension if one still exists, the predictable progression, the job that won't disappear, the employer who has been around for 50 years. And stability has genuine value, particularly early in a career or in life circumstances where income disruption would be genuinely catastrophic. But here's the specific trap. Optimizing for stability above all else systematically excludes the career moves that produce the largest income gains. The jump to a new employer for a 30% increase, the move to a higher risk role with higher upside, the industry pivot toward where compensation is growing, the negotiation that feels aggressive but reflects actual market value. The person who has spent 20 years optimizing for security in a role that offers 3% annual raises has compounded their income at 3% annually. The person who made 3 strategic moves in the same period toward higher compensation opportunities may have compounded their income at 8 or 10%. The gap after 20 years, in both income and in the wealth built from it, is enormous. Security and income ceiling are not always in conflict. But when they are, consistently choosing security is a specific choice with a specific long-term cost that most people making it haven't fully calculated. Sign 10. They measure success by how their life looks rather than by what it could survive. This is the sign that underlies almost all the others. The middle-class financial trap is fundamentally a visibility problem. The metrics most commonly used to measure financial success, the house, the car, the neighborhood, the school, the vacation, the wardrobe, are all visible. They produce social feedback. They generate the external signals that confirm that progress is being made. The metrics that actually determine financial security, savings rate, net worth, liquid assets, gap between income and obligations, months of expenses covered, are all invisible. They produce no social feedback. They generate no external signal. Nobody at the dinner party knows or cares what your savings rate is. So households optimize for the visible metrics because those are the ones that produce the social confirmation that the work is paying off. And the invisible metrics, the ones that determine whether the financial life is actually secure and building towards something, get managed as afterthoughts around whatever is left after the visible metrics have been funded. The specific trap is measuring success by resilience rather than appearance, not what the life looks like on a good month, what it could survive on a bad one, not how impressive the assets are to an observer, how much freedom they actually provide to the person who has them. That reframe from visible success to invisible resilience is the specific perceptual shift that separates the people who look like they're in the middle class from the people who are actually escaping it. The uncomfortable truth about all 10 of these signs is that most of them are culturally invisible precisely because they're so normal. Everyone around you is doing most of them, which makes them feel fine, safe, reasonable, like the right approach to a financial life. They're not wrong exactly. They're just not the approach that produces genuine financial mobility. They're the approach that produces a lifetime of looking like progress while staying in roughly the same financial position. The trap doesn't announce itself. It just keeps offering you culturally endorsed decisions that each feel right in the moment and collectively keep the ceiling exactly where it is. Seeing it is the first step to building something the ceiling can't contain.